All right. Welcome to the Hourly to Exit podcast. Ladies, I am so excited about today's guest, Laura Posey. Laura, welcome to Hourly to Exit.
Thanks for having me today, Erin. Excited to be here.
Well, we have a ton to talk about, but before we get started, would you introduce yourself to the audience?
I'm Laura Posey. I live here in Richmond, Virginia, and my whole job, what I do all day, every day, is working with coaches and consultants to show them how to plan their entire year on one sheet of paper and then how to get it all done.
That is amazing. There's not a single person listening to this episode right now who does not want an easier and simpler way to get things done. So this is going to be tremendously helpful to everyone. So I was looking at a recent webinar that you had on LinkedIn where you talked about using your framework to plan your entire 2023 on a single piece of paper and be prepared for success no matter what the economy does. And so when I think about your one page business plan, the simple success plan,
Mm-hmm.
I think about something that I like to talk about, which is there a Rembrandt in your attic? And basically that is, in business terms, not in, literally
Yeah.
Rembrandts, but in business terms, where we have that hidden undervalued asset that we just use in our business all the time and we don't even realize how valuable it is because we just maybe we haven't even put it in paper. We just go through the process every time we bring in a client. We go through the process every time we create a deliverable. We go through that process, and it's just part of what we do every day. We're not thinking about the independent value that it may have. But when we look at whether or not you have a Rembrandt in your attic, we look at all those internal processes and how do we systematize them if they aren't already, formalize them if we want to use them to say train people internally to do what you do, or to license it to other people to do what you do, or to turn it into a product that you can sell separately or have available separately. So when I think about your simple success plan, I'm wondering, like, is that the process that you went through from services to framework to product?
Yeah, actually I think the way so many things start is I needed it for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so I created it for myself and it worked really well. So I was like, well, let me see if this works with my clients. And so, yeah, started doing that with clients. And then over the years, it's just evolved and grown as I've gotten better at what I do. And now it's really the center of everything that we do. Like I just don't work with anybody now unless we have a plan in place first, because we all need to know what we're trying to accomplish, where we're going, and what we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, you say that the one page plan generated over $2 million in your business. By that, do you
Yeah.
mean that was that's how you created your business, or that's how you use it, exploit it, and there, or both?
A little bit of both. Like it's been the I always talk in when I'm talking to folks about what I call a front door offer. And, it's the door you bring everybody in. And then once they're in, then there's all sorts of other stuff that you can do with them. And
Mhm,
it's just been my front door offer for so long now,
mhm.
because it just sets the foundation for everything.
Right.
Yeah. So um, not all not all my money comes directly from planning, but it all starts with planning.
Well, let's back up and talk about, like,
Yeah.
who is your client? Why do they come to you, and how
Yeah.
do you help them?
So my clients are generally coaches and consultants. They're in the five, maybe they've hit low six figures. Um, and they don't want to scale. Like they're not trying to have a giant team and, rule the world. They just want to have a really kick-ass lifestyle. They want to make, you know, 250 a year personally in their bank account. Maybe
Mhm,
they've got a part-time VA, somebody to do their web stuff for them.
mhm.
And they just want to show up and do great work and get paid really well and have a lot of freedom and free time to live the rest of their life and spend the money that they're earning.
Yeah. Yeah, I will say that has been me for many, many years until recently. I mean, not recently, I've been, looking at doing other kind of more scalable stuff
Yeah.
and expanding. But that was absolutely, having that flexibility and
Yeah.
being able to go to the tennis match if you want to, be able to hike with a
Yeah.
dog if you want to, but still use your expertise and be able to do good work at the same time.
Exactly.
And is
Exactly.
there something, so what are they feeling then? Like what is their pain when they go, I need to go talk to Laura?
Yeah. So generally they're at that place where they've bought, every online course that there is on marketing and LinkedIn strategies and lead generation and God only knows what else. Now it's all about AI, right? Everybody's
Mhm,
buying all the AI stuff. And they're just like, None of this is working. I don't know how to put all this together. I know all this stuff and I'm still not earning enough money."
mhm,
And so I sit down with them and say like, you've got all the pieces parts that you need. Probably nothing else that you need to learn. You just need to put it in the right order. You got to start with like, what do you really want in life?
mhm,
Like, let's get really serious about your lifestyle and figure out how much that's going to cost. And then let's build a business to deliver what it is that you really are looking for. And so we walk through a plan, and we look at the basic stuff like, what are your goals? But we look at money goals, but how much time do you want to take off? How do you want to feel in your business?
mhm,
What's on your bucket list that you want to get done that you're actually going to get done this year? Like, what are you committed to doing that's like super fun or super interesting? Um, and then we start looking at what are the changes that have to happen in your business if you're going to make the money that you want to make. And so I use a framework because I love frameworks that I built called the Success Circle. And it looks at the 12 areas of your business. And we literally like colored in like you remember the old life wheels?
mhm,
You would color in the little pieces of pie to see how well your wheel rolled. We do the same thing for business. And it helps people realize like, oh, this is where I need to actually invest more time and money. This is what's holding me back. So we start putting together like what are the projects that need to happen to make those changes, and then how are we going to get them done?
mhm. Well, it sounds like prioritizing, like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
because you can't
Yeah, and
do it
it's
all. Yeah.
and I think so often it's just folks are putting all their time and energy into the wrong things. They're often getting the cart before the horse, like uh, it doesn't matter how good your lead gen is. If you don't know who your target audience is, if you don't have
Mhm,
a good offer, like a
mhm,
really good offer,
right.
if you don't have good core messaging, if you don't know what your buyer's journey is, it doesn't matter how good your lead gen is.
Mhm,
Like you're just going to piss them away. So, like, let's get those things in place first.
mhm, right.
Then we can start talking about lead gen. And you probably already know everything you need to know about lead gen. And it's not working because you haven't done all the other stuff first.
Yeah, that is so true because everyone, I find that a lot of business coaches are trying to turn us who aren't marketers into marketers.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not a marketer. I will never be a marketer,
Right.
I know what I know. I don't know. And so I just need answers for that.
Yeah.
And then I need to move on. I don't want to become an expert marketer. And so, yeah, so just kind of getting to the basics and getting to like, so we can start implementing and executing on
Right.
whatever the process will be is
Who
so,
should I
so
have? Yeah.
important.
Who should I have conversations with? What offer am I going to make to them? How am I going to frame that offer in a way that they go, oh my God, where have you been all my life? And, like, what does it take to get them to where they're ready to have a conversation?
Mhm.
And it's just conversations. You don't need a fancy website. You don't need automation. You don't need
Mhm.
any of that mess.
Right.
If you can talk to another human being, well, you're good.
Yeah, absolutely. I was talking to a colleague of mine who was starting a new business without a website, and she was doing like, because she just hadn't gotten to
Yeah.
it, but she had all these contacts, and
Yeah.
basically her business is putting people together. So like
Yeah.
I can talk to people. That's what I do, and
Right.
generate sales without a website, which we now think is unthinkable.
Right.
Yeah. One of the things that
Yeah.
makes me insane is, I'll just make my little one IP
Yeah.
little detour, is how focused people are on trademarks. Like the first thing people want
Hmm.
to talk about is trademarks. I'm like, who
Yeah.
cares?
Right.
Do you have a solution that people
Right.
care about or not? Who cares what it's
Oh,
called?
but I got this sexy logo. Man, I don't want anybody to take my logo.
Exactly.
All right, whatever.
Yes. Let's get to the basics. I love that. Okay. So for our evolution of like
Hmm.
having a framework and kind of productizing it
Hmm.
and using it as a lead generator, like how did that process look for you? Something that happened organically and you just like, oh, what luck, did someone help you formulate that? Did you use a lawyer for any part of it? How did that look for you?
Yeah, so it's definitely been, an iterative process. I started selling it literally just one-on-one, like to people
Mhm.
that I knew. I did a lot of speaking at one time. So, when you're on a stage, like whoever's facing the back of the room is the intelligent one. People just believe what you say when you stand on a stage.
Mhm.
And so I would get up there and I'd talk about planning and people would come up to me afterwards and go, wow, I really want to learn more about that. Let's have a conversation. Okay, great. We'd make a sale and I'd work with them one-on-one. And so then I just started thinking like, well, tired of traveling and the one-on-one is okay, but I really want to reach a broader audience.
Mhm.
And so I just looked at, okay, what do I do with the individual people that works? What is the process that I take them through? And
Mhm.
then looking at that and say, well, how would I take a group of people through this process? What would be different? And how would I manage that group and how much time do they need? Like when it's one-on-one, we just lock ourselves in a room for a day and we crank it out.
Mhm.
But if you've got 100 people, you can't get it done in one day. So, I just started looking at like, okay, well, what does it take how much time are people going to need to take this idea that they've learned and get it done so we can go on to the next idea. And a lot of it, quite honestly, was trial and error.
Mhm.
Like, well, let's try it. How many people can I do in a one day? Well, I can deliver the content. I just can't deliver. I can't help everybody.
Mhm.
And so, then I was like, well, let me just make it an online course. If instead of me repeating myself all the time, let me just record everything, all the training, add a workbook to it, traditional online course. And then it just becomes a marketing exercise, right? That's where you do turn into a
Right.
marketer.
Right.
That's where I sort of got my marketing chops, was marketing my own stuff. Um, and then I realized like, nobody's life changes from taking an online course
Mhm.
because most of the time they don't finish it. And it doesn't matter. Like I tried every kind of thing I could think of to, like, if somebody stopped moving forward, to nudge them, and I just couldn't get people to finish. And so I thought, well, what if I just do it live? Like, what if I just do the training live and answer the questions live, and we'll do the work on the calls live and
Mhm.
just stretch it out? And how will that work? And that seems to be the magic formula right now.
Mhm. Yeah.
I just do it with, 100, 150, 200 people at a time.
That's a big
Um,
cohort. Wow. Mhm.
it is. And I've got a co-coach that is on the call with me. So she's kind of running the back end and the chat and everything. So I can just show up and do. And it works really, really well. Like people actually get stuff done.
It is super
And
important to have that live component. It is just so
it
important.
it
Mhm.
is. And
Mhm.
I think it's just completely scalable. Like I was thinking about it the other day and I was like, well, how many people could we handle on a call? Like, how much? I mean, we could do 500, and we could do 500 with the team I have right now.
Mhm.
So, like, all right, let's see what that would look like.
Mhm. Well, that is kind of a daunting of a couple of things. One, everyone kind of gets the need to scale to go from the one-to-one model to the one-to-many model,
Yeah.
but they're not sure how it looks. But there are a couple of things that I think prevent them from making that leap. One is just, I get paid, you know, more for the one-on-one stuff than I do for the one-to-many. Is it going to cannibalize my one-to-one work? How will those clients view me so there's that, the worry about cannibalizing kind of the premium work, let's call it. And then the other is, how do if I have a relationship-based, referral-based business, how do I grow an audience to be able to sell one-to-many?
Yeah. So the first question in my experience has been that the one-to-many actually supports the one-to-one, and I end up with more one-to-one than I want because of the one-to-many. Because what happens is they come in to the one-to-many environment and they go, I need more, right? I'm a bigger business. I just need more. Can I talk to you about that? Do you do that? And so then we have the conversation, and it goes, from $1,000 sale to a $20,000 sale.
Right.
And it's like, okay, yeah, can do that.
So
I
rather than
think
being a replacement, it's more like another ladder on the step of working
yeah.
more intensely. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it just, again, like I bring everybody in that one door, right? And some of the folks that come through that one door go, no, I need a whole lot more.
Mhm.
And so we just have the conversation, and then we move into the one-on-one. And so I think it actually helps you to have one-to-many.
Mhm.
The list piece, right? I mean, everybody's like, email's dead, blah, 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 blah. I've been hearing that for 15 years. It still works. And the beauty of email is that it is an asset that you own, right? You have these addresses that you can use. And yes, some of them are bad and blah, 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 but you have people that you can communicate with whenever you want to.
Mhm.
And so growing that list, I think, is really, really important. I'm not a giant fan of building your business on somebody else's platform.
Mhm.
So like Facebook groups and LinkedIn groups and blah, 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 whatever the newest thing is. Doing TikTok videos and, I mean, just TikTok recently, states are going, hey, we're banning TikTok.
Yeah. Yeah. Mhm. Some pretty big states. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know anybody that's banning email.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I think it's super helpful to start building your list. And the easiest way I found to build a list is, one, to speak
Mhm.
podcasts, on stages, at your local chamber of commerce, wherever your people are. Go speak. And even if you don't get paid to speak right away, get in front of people and offer them something.
Mhm.
Have a free something that supplements the whatever you're talking about, and about 80% of your audience will opt in.
Mhm.
And so, if you think about that, okay, if I'm talking to 200 people, I got at least 150 new names to add to my email list. And they're on their phone texting
Mhm.
the code,
Right.
and they're getting the stuff.
Mhm.
And that's just a one-to-many way to build a list.
Mhm. It's interesting what you mentioned about TikTok, and because I hadn't even thought about, because we, pre the issues that we're having in
Yeah.
2023, we've been told to make sure you own, kind of your audience, and so
Yeah.
you're collecting those emails, even if you don't have a list, that you have a way
Yeah.
to reach out to them. But the world is getting more volatile, with
Yeah.
issues like TikTok, with, Twitter. I mean, people who had massive Twitter, um,
Yeah.
and maybe that's, less viable. Things that are going on with, with Facebook. And so you really
Yeah.
are more vulnerable than we ever have been when we're trying to build,
Yeah.
any asset on somebody else's platform. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That is, yeah, that is crazy.
There's a reason they call it rented media, right?
Mhm.
And if you're building on rented land, right, somebody can come along and take your house whenever they feel like it,
Right.
right? They can change the algorithm. I know, like with Facebook advertising, when Apple came in with all the privacy restrictions,
Mhm.
it devastated, absolutely devastated some folks because their entire business was built around Facebook advertising and this data that they could no longer get.
Mm.
And
They
it
lost access to the data.
yeah, yeah. So
Wow.
it used to be when you went in to set up Facebook ads, I mean, you could build audiences by all sorts of stuff you should not know about people.
Mhm. Mhm.
And when somebody would opt in um, through an Apple device and certainly Windows devices as well, Facebook would gather whatever information they could from that device and learn all sorts of stuff about you,
Mhm.
right? That they could then resell to advertisers.
Uh,
And Apple put the kibosh on that. And so, now suddenly Facebook is going, well, we don't know as much as we thought we did. And the stuff that we do know, we're not allowed to tell you anymore. And so
Mhm.
it really wrecked a lot of people's businesses.
Mhm.
And so
Oh.
I am a big fan of having multiple streams of lead generation.
Mhm. Right.
And build some on the socials. Just don't make it everything, right? Build stuff on stages. But as the pandemic taught us, stages change,
They just change. Yes, absolutely.
right? Again, like I know lots of people who were stage speakers whose businesses disappeared overnight. I have
Mhm.
a colleague who had a $700,000 business just disappear overnight
Mhm. That
because he
was
was
the
building.
entirety of his business, was doing live
Yeah.
events. Yeah.
Yeah. It just
Yeah.
went away.
Mhm.
He pivoted pretty quickly,
Right.
but,
Mhm. Mhm.
um, yeah. So just lessons learned and having watched a lot of people get in big trouble. You diversify your assets,
Mhm.
list building, your email list is an asset, diversify.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of assets, I mean, with your Simple Success Plan, is it registered in the Copyright Office? Does it have a trademark? How does you deal with the IP part of that?
Yes. So the Simple Success Plan is a registered trademark.
Mhm.
I have the paper around here somewhere.
I can look it up.
Yes, I used an attorney.
I'm clapping.
Yeah, because I didn't want to deal with that crap. Like
You don't
I
want to
just
deal with
looked at,
that crap. You definitely
yeah,
don't.
and I've been on the other side of things. Like originally the Simple Success Plan was called the one-page strategic plan.
I
And
know
as
where
it
you might
turns
have run
out,
into trouble there.
somebody
Yeah.
has a trademark on the one page
Mhm.
for like a ridiculous number of codes.
Yes. Mhm.
Right. And so he sent me a very nice email and said, hey, I own that.
Was it nice?
It was.
Okay.
It was nice. And we had a conversation and I've been on it. Like I had a business, little side business, and I got I got a letter from Media General, the attorneys for Media General, letting me know in no uncertain terms that they own the trademark for the term Virginia business when it comes to any sort of publication.
That is shocking to me what people were able
Right?
to get trademarks for. I mean,
Yes.
like, you could never today, but there was a time,
Yeah.
man, you could get.
Yeah. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to win this battle, so
Yeah.
we'll change the name, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Virginia business. Wow. I was curious about the Weather Channel when I'm like, when I noticed, like, how do you get a trademark on the
Yeah.
Weather Channel? You know,
Well,
you know.
Intel owns pretty much any word followed by inside. Have a
Oh.
friend who started a business called Brand Inside, and they do branding, but they do like internal branding and employee development and
Mhm.
stuff. And Intel sent them a very strongly worded letter letting them know that they were in violation of their trade. And I'm like, wait a minute. They make chips, and
Right.
this is a service marketing company.
Yeah.
What the hell? And Intel
Uh-huh.
was like, no, we own all that shit.
Wow.
So yeah, crazy, right?
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you know, I guess it falls into the super trademark category of things, like anything that's even associated with these like massive
Yeah.
trademarks. Kind of, they just gobble everything up, which is pretty obnoxious. But you know,
Yeah.
it is what it is. So,
Exactly.
but I want to, you know, kind of go back to the point, like, you know, if you'd not been able to get simple success plan, you couldn't get the first
Yeah.
one you wanted. I mean, there's another one. At the end of the day, the value in the trademark is the transformation that you provide. And you can
Right.
slap
Exactly.
whatever name you want on there, you
Yeah.
know.
Who cares what it's
Yeah,
called?
it is. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. But once you do have, you're known for that transformation, you do want to make
Yeah.
sure that everyone knows that's yours. And therefore that's why you want that
Yes.
trademark. So they know it's your idea. But we should not like let the tail wag the dog. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
That we gotta
Well,
have.
it gets into that, getting bogged down in minutia that isn't growing your business,
Mhm, right. Mhm,
right? Like I see folks are like just obsessed about their website,
mhm.
and they're spending hours and hours and hours. You don't have any traffic. Like nobody's gonna see it. Like just
Exactly
put
right.
up a nice looking page, got some info on it. You can add more later.
Yeah, yeah,
It's a website.
yeah. I'm sure we've all been guilty of that for
Oh
sure.
yeah. I
Yeah.
I've a bit like these are all lessons. Like when I say, God, it drives me crazy when people do this, it's because I've done it.
Mhm,
Right. And I've learned not to do it because I've watched it fail.
mhm. Yeah, yeah. Well, we are about halfway through. Gosh, we are halfway through 2023.
I, I
So
know, right?
I don't know how that happened exactly.
Insane.
Insane. But what new happened in 2023? I used to ask, you know, what do we see ahead for 2023? But now
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to say, ask, you know, what kind of changes happened in 2023 as we were coming out of the
Yeah.
pandemic and, you know, people quiet quitting and, you
Yeah.
know, all kind of gig economy. Like what's going on?
I think it's the rise of AI. Like that's what I'm
Mm-hmm.
seeing in the world. I hear so many folks going, "Oh, I need to learn AI." And I'm like, "Do you even know what it is or what it does?" Like you've heard you need to learn it. And I keep, people are like, "Oh, it can write all your it can do all your copywriting, it can do all of this, it can do this, it can do this." It's like it's going to work all this magic for you. And I'm like, "Well, yeah, it does a lot of stuff, but you still got to have the right prompts and like there's work that goes into it and I think there's still just no substitute for humans getting together even on Zoom talking."
Yeah. Yeah, AI does
And
not have a personality. AI
right.
has no EQ. AI can't read the
Yeah.
room.
Yeah, and it's like, "Oh, we can do I can do a promotional video using AI. I don't know how to do it, but somebody could do that. I could say,
Mhm,
I need a video of me,
mhm,
fake me,
right,
talking about this."
mhm,
And I could get AI to write the script and da, 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 but it's gonna suck.
right, mhm,
Or I could just sit down and record a video and talk about what I need to talk about
mhm,
and let people see the real human, who makes mistakes and, that doesn't do hair and makeup and is just like, a normal person.
right. Yeah. At the end of the day, like if what you do is something that someone could, you know, 6 months ago could have gone on Google and figured out without you, then you're in the same position. Like that's
Right.
not where you should
Right.
be. If you're an expert,
Yeah.
it shouldn't be just out there for somebody else to like kind of sift through a database and come up with whatever it is that you do that's special for that
Right.
you deliver to your clients. That still is necessary to differentiate you from everybody else.
It's crazy. I mean, the things that I see people building as businesses, and I'm just like, I'm pretty sure a machine does that already.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how are you doing it differently than the machine? Like, I love my accountant. I adore my accountant. Fabulous person. Right. But my accountant doesn't give me tax strategies. She just takes all the junk I give her and puts all the numbers in the right boxes and makes
Mm-hmm.
things balance because I don't really care about doing that.
Right.
Right. I'm pretty sure a machine can do that because there's software out there that does it.
Yeah.
Well,
Yes,
and
they happen. Yes.
she just takes my junk and puts it into this software that she uses, right?
Mhm. Right.
So I'm like, okay, how long is that going to be like a job?
Yeah. Yeah. If you're not providing some type of strategic advice behind that, you're not able
Yeah.
to like say, okay, Laura, what do you want, retirement to look like? Let's figure out, or, lifestyle issues and how do
Yeah.
you finance them and how, it has to be something other than just the numbers.
Yeah.
Or, if you are a writer, it has to be something more than just, putting together some web pages. It has to be something unique. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, AI can write your book report for you
Yeah.
because
Mm-hmm.
book report isn't necessarily your opinion.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right.
And AI is going to be better at the research. So if you're just putting out facts and regurgitating stuff other
Right.
people have said,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, AI is going to eat your lunch. But
Yep. Yep.
if you actually have an opinion and a strategy and a viewpoint, a framework.
Yes. All those things. Love that. All right. So, as you know, this is the Hourly to Exit podcast where I encourage female founders of expertise based businesses to build a business that they can hopefully sell someday.
Yep.
So, as the female founder of an
Yeah.
expertise based business, do you have plans to sell your business? What's the next chapter for your business?
Yeah. So I actually have somebody who wants to buy it, and I
Woo.
just keep
Mm-hmm.
um, pushing him away because I want to get the valuation up
Mm-hmm.
significantly higher.
Mm-hmm.
I also have a colleague who would be like the perfect fit to take it over.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're just starting to have some discussions. I'm not anywhere close to ready to go. I'm just having way too much fun. And
Right.
so
That's the beauty of building a business that you love. Like there's no urgency to, yeah.
yeah, I mean
Mhm.
I've built it to suit my lifestyle.
Mhm.
And so I work really hard in the winter. And then I take summers off, and the rest of the time I work about 3 days a week, and that like totally suits me. And
Mhm.
I mean, gosh, I love the income.
Mhm. Yeah.
Like it's just nothing like getting a check that
Right. So,
every 2 weeks is like, well,
so when you talk
uh,
about increasing the valuation, like, is there something specifically that you're working on to help do that?
yeah. So, it's always about replacing yourself, right?
Mhm.
People want to buy your cash flow. They don't want to buy your IP. And so it's creating the machine that anybody can run.
Mhm.
Right. And the like the guy that wants it, he's got other properties and other lists and other experts who do different things. He just doesn't have this piece.
Mhm.
And so it's a nice addition to his puzzle.
Mhm. Got it.
Um and so, he'll just market my stuff to all of his other lists and market all of his other stuff to my list. And because everything can be delivered, in a pretty turnkey manner, it's
Mhm.
um so and obviously he can replace me for less than what I cost.
Right. Mhm. Right.
So it'll throw off a pretty good amount of cash, but
Yeah.
I'm
Well, you know
hoping.
that revenue generator is your IP, right?
Yes, it is. It is. No, I totally get that. It's the thing is though, like so just for as an example, I have a good friend, colleague who is the most magnificent IP I've ever seen. I mean, it is so, her frameworks are beautiful, her books, I mean, big corporate clients, like the whole 9 yards, but she never built anything outside of herself other than the IP. And she tried for probably 4 or 5 years to sell the IP and could not get a buyer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's not, we don't create IP like just because it's pretty.
Right.
It is the leverage that we get out of it, like how we deploy it. That is where
exactly. Exactly. And she just never trained anybody to do what she does. And so she was trying, and people just said, well, you know, we'll just wait for you to retire and then we'll just go get it. Like, you know.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't mean that as a slam to
Yeah,
IP.
no, it's okay.
I wouldn't be where I am without all of my IP. Right. I mean, that's what's gotten me here.
I mean, that's how we get out of the selling our time business, is by creating these things that can
exactly
generate revenue without us. Yes. All right.
Yes. So that's the key, is the generate revenue. I mean, people want to buy your cash flow. And if you are 100% responsible for your cash flow, when you retire, there's no cash flow.
Exactly. Unless you want to become an employee.
You want to buy the machine.
Yeah. Yes. All right. So one of our missions here is to create more wealth in the hands of women, to create an economy that works for more of us. And so I love to introduce the audience to organizations who are doing great work in that area. Is there one that you'd like to share with the audience?
Yeah, there's a group here in Richmond called Safe Harbor, and they help women who are in abusive relationships safely get out with their kids. They help set them up in new careers, new houses, absolutely everything they need. They take care of all the legal work as well. Wonderful. To make sure that they have all the protections that they need. And they're just a great organization.
Love it. Thank you. So we'll have that in the show notes so everyone can find them and support their work. And so I know you have an offer as well, some goodies that you'd like to share with the audience as well.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of giving people free stuff because it's useful. So I have it's a single sheet of paper. It's called the Daily Success Checklist. And you do fill it out every single day, and it keeps you focused on your long-term goals, keeps you focused on your projects that you're working on right now, keeps you focused on the things that make you a healthy, whole human being. And it keeps you focused on the most important tasks that you need to get done each day. And then it helps you end the day with a reflection so that when you finish that piece, you are done with work for the day, whether that's at 10 o'clock in the morning or 6 o'clock at night. And you can walk away knowing that you have done everything that you needed to do today to move things forward. It's settled. You can go leave work and be a whole human being. You can be present with your family. You can be present in your life and not be thinking about work all the time.
And not wake up in the 3 a.m. Not that ever happens to me.
Yeah. No, it's such a fabulous tool for just looking at it, because it's one sheet of paper. It's like, this is what I can get accomplished today. And so you do exactly what you are capable of doing that day, and then you're done. And so there's not this endless list that's haunting you and hanging over your head. And it's always keeping you focused on the important things that are really driving the business forward. And there's room in there for all the little petty stuff that has to get done, because let's face it, there's little petty stuff that has to get done. But it's my number one tool for focusing and getting stuff done. And so you can just hop over to the website. It's simplesuccessplans.com/daily.
Great.
and download it. And there's a tutorial video and downloads and fillable versions and printable versions and all the stuff.
Fantastic. Well, I need one of those because I do have some of those 3 a.m. moments too often. So
Yeah, no,
thank you.
we'll get you out of those.
Fix me up. So
Yeah.
we will have the links to all of those in the show notes as well. Where else can people find you?
Easiest place is to just hit me up on my website. I mean, you can find me on Facebook. I have a LinkedIn profile. I never hang out there. I hang out on Facebook. I'm not an Insta gal. Again, like I have a profile. I don't do anything.
Right.
So yeah, hit me up on Facebook, hit me up on the website. You can just shoot me an email and ask me questions. I love to talk about business and meet new people.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Laura. You've been tremendously generous, and I know everyone want to follow up with you with those very helpful resources. Thank you.
Thanks.